waiting for the noise, right?
This is one of their softer songs, but there's something about the beat that just kind of gets me going. Uh,
Oh, that's trippy.
It's like get in the zone music.
Yeah.
Totally. This song's a loop too. Like I've looped this one driving quite a bit.
Nice.
Oh, driving. Do you guys remember driving? Oh, I miss driving so much.
I've been so busy with work lately, so I have been driving a lot.
Lucky you.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, definitely like the beat in that song. That's awesome.
So definitely check out their other stuff, especially their older stuff. They're probably one of my favorite live bands because they just go nuts and they're kind of known for their live.
Nice. Sweet. All right, Adam, what is the song that's stuck in your head this week?
So for this week, I had heard that a band released an album, and I was never expecting this band to release another album because it's Static X, and Wayne Static, who passed away. I didn't think that they would release anything else under his name. So apparently, this album that they released, just a couple weeks back in July, is called Project Regeneration, and it actually is kind of old tracks that they had demoed or like cut demos for but never released, and then they actually also found like isolated vocal tracks from Wayne since from before he passed for these tracks.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's pretty cool. They actually have like 3 tracks that are fully Wayne Static vocals, and then the rest of the album they kind of follow the typical Static X composition / music, but they have another person kind of filling in for Wayne's vocals. So there's been some controversy around some of this because the guitarist kind of claimed rights because he's not with the band anymore, right? So he claimed that he has rights to the songs that they wrote when they were demos, but obviously the band's releasing. So I'm not going to get into the drama. I'm just going to say that I picked one of the 3 songs that was actually accredited to him. So, and it's the one that has actually all of Wayne's vocals on it as well. So the song that I chose is Something of My Own, and you can tell that it's an isolated, like raw recording of Wayne Static because it's not the studio quality, but it just makes me miss him, and miss like the Static X like feel. Like you can still feel his creativity in the song.
Nice. I forgot at a certain point they tuned down lower than their normal tuning they started out with.
Shadow Zone, right? Yeah, I think that I want to say that's the album that they did, but
And I don't know why, like I just kind of let Static X drop off like my radar, but they are good. I miss them.
There's something like nostalgic for them. Right? They were never like my go-to, but when I hear them, it just brings me back.
Totally.
yeah, back to the good days of high school. Oh wait, it was so long ago.
Oh no, we're so old.
Wolfsbane points out, yeah, when you start headbanging in the beginning of the song, it's usually going to be a good time.
Oh yes, for sure. Every single
Find
time.
the groove beat and the groove track right off the first 10 seconds. Then you're going to be rocking for a decent amount of time.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, so the song that's been stuck in my head is a band that kind of also fell off my radar for a little bit, but I was actually reminded of this band from one of the members of the band Wilderrun. So if we remember, recently Wilderrun released an album called Veil of Imagination. I know all the guys in the band. They're super cool. I played with them a couple of times. One of their guys, Wayne, recently posted a song by this band called Teresa's, and they are a kind of symphonic folk metal band from Finland. And this particular album, Stand Up and Fight, they got really, really more symphonic. Like it's almost to the point where the guitars are like almost not there. But there's one section in one song called The Great Escape that Wayne from Will to Run says is like his all-time favorite like section in symphonic metal. So I gave it a listen, and holy butts, he was not lying. So we'll go ahead and take a listen here. There's a little bit of a lead up to the main kind of symphonic section here.
Dude, this sounds like the Spaceballs theme.
Almost, right? I thought the same thing when I first heard it.
Oh my gosh.
So like 80s action adventure.
But it's so cool, right? I love it.
Steve, you were born in the wrong decade, man.
I really was. Anyway, that's the song that's been stuck in my head. All right. Moving on for some follow-up. I think, Adam, you've got a little bit of follow-up, yeah?
Yeah, I did a bad thing.
Oh, no. What did
I forgot to mention my favorite band last episode. So I forgot to mention August Burns Red. For now, I picked a song. And it's off their latest album, but the song is Blood Letter. And this is kind of like the heavier August Burns Red. So when I was going through, I'm like, oh man, like which track have I not featured? And it's getting hard. I'm going to be honest. It's getting hard to find like tracks that I haven't featured on the podcast, because as the episodes grow, I just got to, shoot a line to August Burns Red. Know that they have to release more singles to keep up with the amount of episodes that we're putting out. But Blood Letter, right from the start, you kind of get that nice heavy feel that you don't typically hear from August Burns Red. Oh, wait.
There it is. We got it now. We're good. All right. Let's take a listen. Yeah, that's super low, man. Dang.
Yeah.
Did they use 7-string guitars for this?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Yeah, every August Burns Red song you show me, I'm just like, why am I not listening to this band more?
Yeah, see, why are you not? They're an unofficial sponsor of the podcast.
They're a sponsor and they don't even know it.
I feel like it's the opposite. I think Adam's an unofficial sponsor of them.
That sounds right.
Oh, but then I
feel
sneak
like
it in
on their marketing team.
I'm trying. Hey guys, call me. I got this.
Oh man. All right. And then, so this week for my underground corner,
I'm taking it over.
Yeah, Diana's taking it over because I figured this is a great opportunity for me to learn about a band that I've never heard of. And I can guarantee you, I've never heard of this band before. So Diana, take it away.
Yeah, so the band I'm highlighting here this week they're called Sleepwalker. If you actually try to look them up on Spotify, you're going to get zero help. Because their names all in Chinese characters. It's not even kanji, like it's Chinese characters, but they're kind of a really cool, interesting band. They're online only. They don't play live. They're totally international. So I know there's a lot of mystery about them. So this could be like totally not the truth, but this is the story that they were putting out there into the world. But it's a dude in Osaka, a dude in somewhere in Russia that is not a major city. And,
oh my gosh,
that's a big dartboard to throw at.
Yeah.
And then a dude in New York.
Oh my gosh.
And like even within like the Japanese metal community, we talk about it. We have no idea who it is because like we generally know who the people in Osaka are and no clue.
Oh my gosh.
But they've kind of gotten a little buzz on like online metal blogosphere because they make really interesting music. It's black metal, but with like tinges of psychedelic and noise, and it's just kind of one blog kind of put it as a intellectual metal.
Wasn't that just like mathcore?
But no, this is
Mathcore.
so not mathcore. So if you're kind of into weird stuff, which there's going to be a lot of, this is going to be a little different podcast for you guys, I think, today. But like this would be easily the most I don't know. It's either going to be your thing or it's not going to be.
All right. It's going to be a fun episode for sure.
It's going to be a different episode, yeah.
All right. So we'll go ahead and take a listen to Sleepwalker here.
And this is White Linen.
I mean, I know we got the Skype filter on, but it does sound a little bit raw. Is that like their normal sound?
That's-
Okay.
You're not hearing it wrong.
I didn't want to be rude to the band if it was supposed to sound good. And I'm not saying that sounds bad. I'm saying this is just like, if that's their style, that's cool.
It's the aesthetic they're going for.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It's more of like a prop to them and just a dig on Skype, right? Like,
Yeah, for sure. Skype, get on your audio game. It kind of has a little bit of like a post-rock feel in a way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. You'll notice that theme going on throughout this episode.
Okay. Yeah, definitely more on, I would say, like, kind of like an avant-garde style as far as like what we listen to.
Oh yeah. This is why I'm like, I don't know what Adam's gonna say this episode, because this is not his type of music, I think.
yeah, like I'm all about hearing different kinds of music, even if it's not for me. I mean, Steve introduced me to jaw harps. This time I'm just going to keep broadening my horizons.
Yes.
It's all good. I'm buckled in and ready for this one. I'm actually standing, but I'm buckled in, standing, and ready for this one.
You got your belt buckled.
I'm trying
We
to do
tend
the
to
balance board thing, like I'm trying to.
Oh, okay. Yeah, getting your exercise in while we're doing this.
You guys take up my prime exercise spot, right? I'm like one of those night owls that likes to exercise at night. The thing, man. Like if you look at all my workouts, I start at 11:30 sometimes. It's like right before like midnight is. I just do that, take a shower, fall asleep. It's like the best thing. But yeah, when we do the podcast, we always end up, like spending such a long time talking to each other that I just run out of time to do my workout. So I have to like give myself some of a workout. So that's why I'm standing. And if I fall over, it's because I've had too much of the wrong drink and I'm on a balance board.
Do you have an actual alcoholic beverage tonight?
Eve, I'm a responsible balance boarder, so I am drinking Skittle juice. Thank you very
Skittle
much.
juice. There we go. There we go. All right.
I think it's the first time I've heard it referred to Skittles juice.
Have you had that flavor before?
Have you had
It's key lime?
Dude, the key lime LaCroix is
one of the sweetest like LaCroix ever. Like it doesn't even taste like
Okay.
seltzer water. Like it tastes like Skittle juice, like he said.
I don't know. I had one work where they had free LaCroix like all day, and my coworkers used to just plaster their cubicles with like empty LaCroix cans. Like that was their
That's some weird cubicle decoration.
that was their office decor.
Oh my gosh.
And so I'm a little turned off about LaCroix. Like after 3 years there, I don't think I can just even visually stomach that stuff.
was this in the Bay Area by chance?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a thing.
It's
Okay, explain this thing, Adam, because I've never heard of this before.
Let's just say that people up here hate soda. Like they hate soda. Soda's bad. Soda is, the Antichrist. But this is close enough to soda where everyone can enjoy it but not feel horrible about it. And most companies, to get you to stay as long as possible, they'll provide you with Skittle juice. And
like free snacks and free lunch and yeah,
all of the things. But the thing is that most software engineers, we're lazy. Like really lazy. So
that's why you're a software engineer, right?
I'm going to write something to do my job for me. I don't want to do that job. So when we get the Skittle juice and we finish the Skittle juice, the trash can is so far away that And also, we don't decorate our offices. I mean, like our cubicle spaces. Like sometimes we don't. So they're colorful. They're there. You can make patterns with them. I'm not proud of the amount of LaCroix cans I've accumulated in my office at any given time, but it's a thing.
It was a point of pride for certain people. Like they wanted to see if they could like do their entire.
Oh my
cubicle.
gosh!
And I mean, like we're talking about like 5 cans, like high.
Tall. Oh my gosh, that's so weird.
So
At that point, you have a problem.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, let's just say if you collect them all up, you could probably buy a new iPhone with it.
That's funny yet sad, maybe in a way. I don't know. That's a lot of LaCroix.
At least with the California redemption value. California
Yeah.
redemption value, you get top dollar for your can.
There we go. All right. So moving on to our main topic tonight of Japanese metal. Our special guest is going to take the reins for us. So Diana, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right. So I think as these two people know, like I've been into metal for a long time. Like that's how we got to know each other. There was this weird girl in driver's ed who actually listened to metal, and so but for the longest time, like I was one of those people who, I think you know what I'm talking about, where there's that little bit of elitism.
Yeah.
Just a tinge.
And just a tinge. Like we all go, I think if you're a metalhead, you go through that at some point in your metalhead career, is you're going to be an elitist. But I was going through my elitist stage at the same time as my then boyfriend was going through an elitist stage. And he had this kind of obsession with this, not even the band, but just this one particular Japanese metal song. And I'm not going to name it because it is beloved by the people who love it. And I still hate the songs.
Whoa, shots fired.
Harsh.
The deepest, darkest depths of my heart. But I judged like all Japanese metal on that song.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
I, like, for a long time, like, flat out refused to even, because I had this idea that all Japanese metal was Visual Kei, and Visual Kei is bad and weird and boring, and I eventually broke up with that boyfriend, but then met a new dude, and when he found out I liked metal, he was like, dude, you have to listen to this one band. They're called Duran Gray. They're Japanese. I think you'll really like them. Bugged me relentlessly over this band. And I'm like in my head going like, I'm not going to listen to this band at all. Like, not interested. But he was so relentless over an entire year. I'm not even kidding.
Entire year. What dedication.
Man.
He's a little bit of a fanboy for this. So to kind of roll it back, like Duran Gray has been around for a long time, like 25 years. And they had a little bit of like a surgence in the US. They were on the Korn's Family Values tour a couple of times, and Ozfest a couple of times. So they had a little bit of a following here. But I definitely thought of them as like this Visual Kei band, and they can't be interesting at all. But finally, one day when FYE was going out of business, I think we can remember those days, I came across a $5 CD of Duran Gray. And if I was like, I'm just going to buy it, listen to it, and I can get this dude off my back. And I picked up their album, which was, I didn't know at the time, but it was their latest album at that point, Dum Spiro Spiro. And it was like, it ended up being that kind of game changer album for me, which is really weird because it took me about 6 different listens to even make it through the entire album.
Dang.
Like the first listen, I didn't make it through 30 seconds of one song. Not because I didn't like it, because it was so different and uncomfortable for me. I hadn't heard anything like that at that point, particularly the vocalist. And so it's one of those, was a game changer. And so eventually I got over it and completely fell in love with this album. As far as their discography goes, I tend to lean on their newer stuff, which is more experimental, proggy metal, a little bit, hardcore leaning. Their early stuff is, I think, what most people, when they think of like anime music,
We all look at Adam.
What? Don't look at me.
If you listen to one of their first singles, it is like totally like pop rock. They've got like the late 1990s Visual K style. Like it's just like every album in their discography is a little bit different genre, and they've now 25 years later have settled onto this, prog experimental kind of style. Nice. But Dump Spiro Spiro was 2011 one of the best metal albums, I think, and it made a couple of year-end lists. I found out later.
Nice.
So this was the band that started it all, and we're going to listen to Different Sense off of that album. It's one of their singles. If you are going to check it out on YouTube, it is not safe for work. So
good to know.
Just FYI, watch it on your own time. But I think Adam, this might be the most you thing this entire podcast.
All right, let's go ahead and take a listen here. That there, bada boom. This is like Iowa era Slipknot with like the deepest guttural death metal vocals I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Almost.
I'm into this.
Yeah, me too. This is sick. Whoa! That range.
And it's all him.
Wow.
There's some backup, like live, they do some backups, but on the recording, it's all the vocalists.
Wolfsbane's losing his mind.
In the chat.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know you're always raving about this band, and
I remember like back then I was so trying to get you and a fellow friend of ours into this band. I'm like, you're gonna, and no one.
I'm such a bad friend.
For a year. Oh. You needed the same persistence.
So this album didn't leave my car for I think almost 3 years. It was like, and I still listen to this album in full, probably at least once a month.
Dang, that's like me and a specific Moonsorrow album.
Oh yeah, and what's interesting, like, so that's like most of that song is growls. He does do a lot of clean vocals, so they do, and he has such fantastic range. The problem is he's destroyed his voice doing this, and he still growls on the latest album, but he holds himself back from what he used to be able to do.
Yeah.
So for me, Dump Spiro Spiro is the height of Duran Gray. I will always love the album. The album before Ouroboros, and Chef's Kiss.
Chef's Kiss, yes.
And their newest album is really good. It doesn't. I don't think he can push his vocals that much anymore.
Yeah.
So this is how this was like the drop. But at the same time, like they're still considered Visual K. Like, and okay, before I go any further, you guys know what I mean when I say Visual K, right?
Not a clue.
I Googled it.
Adam did his homework finally. When we have the guest on, he acts like the perfect student. Yet any other day, forget it.
That's right, man. I'm piping over the back glass. I did my homework. Steve didn't do it. I did it.
So here's the interesting thing about Visual K. So like visual, you know what visual means. Okay. K literally means just style.
Okay.
So visual style. In the 90s, it was very much like tied in with a particular rock sound.
Oh, okay.
And that's what I think when most people think of like Japanese metal, they're thinking of that sound, and that's the sound you hear at the end of, some animes. And, if it's your thing, it's your thing, right? At some point, though, in the last 20 years, like it's diverged. The Visual K genre has now there's rap Visual K in Japan, and there's pop Visual K, and so now it's more about like there's the differentiation between the aesthetics and the
sound.
The sound.
Gotcha. Okay.
So And as in that first round, that first group of visual kei bands, as they've gotten older, like the style has gone down and they've gone more experimental in their music, except for one band, which is literally makes the same album every time.
Every time.
I still enjoy them; they're fun, but but we're not going to be talking about visual kei so much. But most people, when they get into Japanese music, it's usually a visual kei band
Gotcha.
or some sort of anime music that it opens the door, and I'm no different. But most of the time, visual kei, as like the genres and the bands that associate with visual kei, aren't going to be interesting enough for you to kind of stick around. And I mean that with so much love. But eventually I started finding out more about other bands, and the kind of the pivot I finally took was an interview about Duran Gray. The guitarist mentioned a band called Downey. So he was asked a question like, what other Japanese bands should foreign people listen to? And he said Downey, which is a really interesting choice because most people in Japan do not even know who Downey is.
So that's weird. Yeah, if like no one there knows it, why are they recommending it to be like?
Well, it's because the guitarist was best friends with the guitarist from Downey. Like they had a really close, really close relationship.
Gotcha.
And at the time when I heard about Downey, it was like impossible to find any Downey music without like having to like illegally download it.
The good old days.
Eventually they started popping up on Spotify, but it was like that and like the weird person who like uploads the lone music video on YouTube.
Yeah.
But Downey's not metal. Downey is a post-rock, shoegaze, experimental rock band. It's not really accurate, but they get called the Radiohead of Japan.
Gotcha.
Their whole shtick is they are actually trying to create the aesthetics of electric music with traditional rock.
Interesting. So like I know for like metal in general, especially in the States, like we have like, for example, the big four of thrash, or like there's some sort of like big number of like there's 3 or 4 bands that are like the best at what they do for like a particular genre. Would you say there's something equivalent in Japanese music?
Well, like for me, there's like yes and no, and like there's the visual kei side, and then there's like the underground side.
Mm-hmm.
And so for the underground side, I would say like the big 3 are not only like really for underground, they're known underground, but they're also the ones that like were able to kind of cross the pond over to the Western world.
Okay.
So probably the most well-known one is Boris. Generally, people have heard of Boris. They've been around since the mid-90s. They have an insane discography. And it's hard to classify Boris because every album, again, they're switching genres. Like, but they're generally known for their drone stuff. So they're drone and doom metal. But they've put out a pop album. They've put out a shoegaze album. They're probably the most well-known album is Pink. Or Feedbacker, if you're really into drone.
Mm-hmm.
But lately, they've kind of been doing a lot more kind of hardcore tinged stuff. They recently left their label, and I think they're just kind of experimenting on where they want to go now, 25 plus years later, and they've got probably like 40 albums out.
Dang.
Oh, they're nuts. Their output.
That's insane.
Their output is...
You're not tied down to a label, man. You're free to like explore yourself and like not tied down to the man, So
the hard thing is because they put out so much, like it's not all home runs.
That's true. So it's more of a quantity versus quality band.
Right. Like, yeah. And so I think that's why they've never really like, if you're into drone, you know who Boris is, you probably love Boris, but you also kind of know, Boris might not be your thing. And a lot of times the vocals get people. But I love Boris. I've seen them 15 times live. Like, oh yeah.
I don't think I've seen any single band 15 times live. But I know you've gone to way more concerts than I have, so. but
I love them. So I'm going to show you, this is off of their latest album called No, and it's called Loveless.
a very thrashy feel.
Yeah, thrashy, hardcore punk, almost close to that crust punk stuff we were talking about a few weeks ago.
It's so weird because you'll have songs like this, and then you'll have like the slowest, doomiest, droniest, like feedback where it's an hour of this drone. And they have another album, Flood. It's 4 songs, but it's really 1 song, and it's over 40 minutes of just drone. So you get this weird dichotomy with them.
Okay.
Their guitarist Wada, she is amazing though. Like, she's this tiny little Japanese woman, and you see her live, and she just rips, man.
That's so rad.
Oh, she's and the singer / bassist / guitarist has the coolest double neck you'll ever see. Like, I like covet that.
I want.
Like, I don't even play anything. I just like love
Just want that.
I just want it.
And has guitar.
It's custom made. He's had a couple custom made, but
nice.
So Boris is like this like overall like mentor within this scene. They're pretty big mentors of another band I'll be talking about a little bit later. The next of the things that I consider the big 3. This is a band called Psy. So what's cool about Psy is, again, they go all the way back to the late 90s, but they're actually technically part of the second wave of black metal.
Really?
So they were originally signed to Euronymous' label way back when.
Okay.
So they're a black metal band, but like most of that kind of second wave, as they've gotten older, they've gotten more avant-garde. And so now I would say they're more in the likes of like Arcturus or the newest Emperor, or that weird period of Sulfad before they went cold. Yeah. So they were kind of in that. They have a huge discography too. So it's like this song is off of their latest record, again, because that's like what they sound like now. Mm-hmm. But definitely go back through their whole discography. They don't come to the States very often. They've got little kids, so they stay at home.
Oh, that's nice.
So interesting note though, both in Psy and Boris, the 2 lead people are married to each other. So Wada is married to the drummer.
Nice.
And then Dr. Manickbull, which she does a whole bunch of different, actually they both do a whole bunch of different instruments, is married to Mirai. And so like it's a cool little dynamic because they've been together for years now.
Awesome.
So you get to see that relationship of how they make music together as a couple with other people.
That's awesome.
So this 100% of metal couples stay together. I think that's a statistic that has to be
Yes. Family metal.
So this is their song Hunter's Not Horned off their latest album.
Sweet. Is that a flute?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who does the flute. It's either I think it's Mirai does the flute.
Okay.
Now his wife will do a saxophone.
Nice.
Ooh, love me some sax and some metal. That's
pulling some East on there. He's got so much sax stuff in his solo material away from Emperor. I dig this. This is awesome.
Something about the vocals in the song remind me of Control.
A little bit, yeah. We were just talking about Control too.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, that is super cool. Thank you so much for that already. Like we're not even all the way, not even halfway through this list, and I'm liking everything. This is great.
Dude, Psy has definitely. They're one of those that's like if you've heard of them but you've never put the time into it, like just go through the discography, you'll find something you like. Like they're just so good.
Nice.
The third of the big 3, I don't have a song ready for you. It's a band called Church of Misery, and I like them. Like I actually really legitimately like them. I think, but compared to Boris and Psy, I just don't think like Boris and Psy at least like try new things, and Church of Misery just does like doom metal.
And that's it.
And that's it.
Okay. I mean, they're decent at it, though. I assume
they're decent
right?
at it. Yeah, it's good doom metal. Their shtick is their albums. They tend to have the theme of like serial killers and the main guy of Church of Misery has a little bit of a reputation of being difficult to work with. Like he's kind of ran out of Japanese musicians to work with him.
Oops.
So, I figured like if you like doom metal, check them out. If you don't, I don't think you're really missing much. But like of those three, they've actually come to like they have a presence in the West. And so does this next one, but in a different scene. So for me, it's like Boris and Psy, they're actively in the greater underground scene.
Okay.
And I don't really know I was thinking about like, what do I even call this scene? Because like for the most part, like it's like always the punk scene or the hardcore scene. But this is a little different because it spans a lot of genres. So the difference between like Japanese underground and like underground here is the scenes tend to be within like particular concert venues or what they call live houses there.
Okay.
So like you tend to have a home live house, and the bands within that home live house generally sometimes like form a family, and from that you get the scene. And so I kind of like Visual K has Rakumaikon, and this scene, which I still don't know what to call it, but they're out of a really cool live house called Shindaita Fever.
Okay.
And this is the best way I can put it. It's like the noise gaze scene, because a lot of the bands have either some sort of noise influence or some sort of shoegaze influence.
Gotcha.
And that's the best way I could put it. The other thing is there's a festival that's pretty much run by the dudes from Boris and Downey and this next band, Envy, and they've kind of like built this scene around them. So Envy is not metal. I mean, I guess do you consider post-hardcore metal? Like, I feel like it's metal adjacent, but it's not technically metal.
Oh man, we bend the rules so much here. I mean,
yeah, we do. Some more than others.
I think it's an important, like, for the rest of the. Yeah, I think it's. So Envy is super another like they're from the.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Our friendship is slowly going down the tubes.
You just like attacking me.
I was poking fun at you.
I know.
Anyway.
So Envy is like another one. They're from the early 90s. If you are into Screamo, you know who Envy is. Like, they're the ones who kind of started that Screamo sound, even though they're from Japan. Post-hardcore. And they are definitely a huge influence to, like, the next 4 bands that I'll be talking about. So you'll kind of see it ripple down.
Gotcha. Cool.
And also the biggest influence to Death Heaven, if you...
Oh, okay. Yeah, we know Death Heaven, so that's good to know. Sweet. Mm-hmm. Let's go ahead and take a listen to Envy.
Oh, and I didn't. This is Farewell to Arms. I forgot to say the name.
Oh, it's all good. I can totally hear that post-hardcore sound there. Yeah, I could definitely like hear this in a lot of even just post-hardcore bands like here in the States.
Oh,
like.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is awesome. Right on. What are your thoughts, Adam?
I don't know why you said that wasn't metal, or why that may not be considered metal. That's metal enough for me. Like that meets my threshold. Like, we're good here.
I kind of figured it would. The hard thing is like if you read about them, like people will always be like, oh, they're a screamo band. And I think it's weird because like yes, it's screamo because of this vocal style, but for me, it's a post-hardcore band.
Yeah.
And what's really cool about, I do have to go on a slight tangent about this. They have had a little bit of drama in their band life. So actually, the vocalist in 2016 abruptly left the band. So it was like the first year that they were putting together this big festival for the scene, and on April 1st, the singer was like, "Bye."
Oh,
and
boy.
so there was a lot of like, what are they gonna do? Or they weren't the headliner for that night, but they were, the second headliner. And so what they ended up doing was actually asking vocalists from across the underground scene to do one song each. So like the vocalist from Downey did a song, but it was like vocalists from grindcore bands and hardcore bands and black metal bands and indie rock, and there was one that's actually like popular rock, and it was such an insane show, and I was very blessed to be up front and center for it. And it was just one of those I actually ended up talking to the vocalist of Downey and the guitarist of Envy after the show, because when you're a white California girl in Japan, you tend to stick out. So, they knew who I was. So Robin from Downey came up and asked me, he's like, what did you think? Like, we were worried that this wouldn't play off well. And I'm like, dude, this was the biggest gift to not only to fans, because it was like the coming together of a family to like support a band that was a little bit in turmoil at a really important time. Like, they're trying to get this festival off the ground. And there's YouTube clips of it online. My favorite part was this dude from a grindcore band called Milk Cow decided to like climb up the 30-foot fake amps and then stage dive.
Oh my god!
Oh, this dude is nuts. Suru from Milk Cow. He's a little cuckoo, but it was just one of those moments where you realize that they're a post-hardcore band, but their influences has rippled throughout through multiple genres, and
that's awesome.
So from there though, like what's kind of cool is once Deathheaven kind of made that kind of area for black gaze to be a thing, the Japanese shoegaze has never died in Japan. Like, unlike the US where it like disappeared and it's come back, they've always had a steady shoegaze scene. But when black gaze started to become a thing, all of a sudden there was like everyone and your mama making a black gaze band in Japan.
That's funny.
And there's ups and downs. Like, they're not all great. But one band that I think they kind of do the merge of the two genres, but in the other way. Like, a lot of times it's more gazy than it is black metal.
Right.
This is I would say they're definitely more black metal than shoegazy, but they had just enough to make it interesting, because I find myself sometimes bored with just pure black metal. I
agree with that.
Yep.
So we talked about black metal spaghetti last time. I mean, just boiling down to just a couple ingredients. So
yeah, like, it's like what you were saying before, though, like sometimes you want a bowl of just plain spaghetti, and then the bands that do that well, but you don't want that every single day. Like, you gotta change it up a little bit.
So these guys, they change it up just enough to keep it interesting, in my opinion. This is totally obviously my, but what they only have one album, Regan. It's already from 2015. I know the dudes, they've got a lot of live stuff going on, and so I hope they put out another album. They still do live shows, but I don't know. I gotta rep them because they are the sweetest dudes ever, and very welcoming. So
nice.
This is Funeral March from Regan.
Sweet. Even with a Skype filter, I can tell that's more black metal. Nice. I like that groove a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the groove is real.
Black metal with a groove. That's not just a blast beat.
Right.
Oh wait. Spoke too soon.
Well, okay, yeah. I mean, you gotta
Pump the brakes there, buddy.
it's still gotta include tomatoes and noodles. I mean, that still has to be there,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Yes, Wolfsbane. Every song tonight has been great. Oh man. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I was digging the groovy riff and the drum fills. Like, ooh.
Yeah. This
That's
has
the
like a
hook.
good balance of like everything for us.
They're I love them. Like I hope they do more stuff together, but
Definitely. We understand though, like life gets
in the way, you know. Like I said, like there's a ton of black gaze bands. This next band, I love them. They're one of those bands that they're not quite there. Like there's something missing for me to like really punch them to that next level.
Okay.
But I feel like they've got that ability to do it. I think so they're on an interesting label. I don't know if you've heard of Pest Productions.
I am so unfamiliar with labels. Like I know some of the big ones here that like we know in the States, as far as like Nuclear Blast, Metal Blade, Spine Farm Records. Is that one?
Yeah, so Pest Productions is like one level below that.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Like, as far as, like,
Your major labels and your minor labels.
yeah.
Yeah, and but so I love this label because it actually they do a lot with black gaze bands, but also a lot of the DSBM scene.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I always feel bad about actually spelling out that acronym because people get a little weird about it.
Yeah. If you want to know what it is, go Google DSBM. It's not a happy.
It's not a happy name.
No.
Ironically, though, I find that particular style of black metal very uplifting. So go.
You know, you're not the first person to say that. I was good friends with a guy in Wisconsin when I still lived there who was really big into DSBM, but he was like one of the happiest dudes I've ever met.
Oh yeah.
So it was really strange.
Oh, I love it. It's probably easily one of my favorite genres, but it's not one that I spell out because then people worry about your health. But this was the label that got into a little bit of trouble with Ghost Bath. I don't know if people remember that drama. So the label itself has its issues, but they are a really great label to check out if you're into DSBM or if you're into black gaze. But this is another hard to find band as far as Googling. It's also no joke. And this is Thin Ice. They are, I think, what most people think of the gazy kind of black gaze.
Gotcha. Cool. So let's take a listen. Let's get that there. And bada boom.
And be prepared for long songs with this band. Like,
I like it a lot. I like it a lot.
it hasn't even gotten going yet.
It hasn't, but I already know where it's going. I know this sound and this feel already. Yep, that's what I expected.
look at Steve's gonna call the play-by-play.
In this kind of black metal, the vocals tend to be more shrieky as far as like, I think the best way to describe it is like, think of like the most painful emotion and what does that sound like?
Right.
And that's the vocal style.
I just want a little more polish from this band, though.
Yeah.
Like, to really kick them up to the next level. Like, not like production polish, but just song structure, being a little more interesting, a little bit more unique. Like, I feel like I can find this sound in a lot of different bands. But I think they do fairly well.
Nice.
You got a couple call outs, like say it's like Windeer or
Yes, I know. Freaking Windeer. I love Windeer so much.
I never made that connection. I was a huge Windeer fan, like in high school. Like,
Yeah. I can kind of hear
I
it.
can hear it.
Because I think Windeer, like, if we're looking specifically at, like, grooves, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of black metal, like, strayed away from the 4/4 time and did more, like, 6/8 or 3/4 time, whereas Windeer kind of kept more of the 4/4 time, which is kind of what this sounds like, too.
Yep.
So I think maybe that's, like, one of the connections.
I also think like this vocals is a little higher pitched than Windeer's, but I think the cadence is really similar.
Nice.
So these are like more. I would feel like if I came up to someone in the U.S. and they're like, "I like Kohol or Asanojo K," I'd be like, "Dude, you are about as into this scene as I am." Like it would be complete shock. But that's why I showcased them here. Like, go deep or go home.
There you go.
But if you're into like black gaze, definitely check out Heaven in Our Arms. I think I'm trying to remember. They're on some European label for Western release. So they're getting a lot of scene, and then of course Pest Productions is kind of. Did we even play the Boris one?
Yeah, we did.
We did. Okay.
Yeah, we're past that. I'm just trying to get it out of the way, so that way we don't have to worry about it.
No worries. I kind of forgot that. So yeah, there's a ton to check out, and of course, if you like black gaze, you're gonna love shoegaze, and there's a whole realm to go off of that in Japan.
Nice.
But I think as shoegaze always has like, I mean, if you ever look at their pedal boards, it's like ridiculous. It's like 80 pedals on one board.
Mm-hmm.
On top of that, like Japan loves like noise. Like I think we've all heard like the Japan noise scene and Merzbow and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's only kind of natural that would slowly escape into their noise, into like a noise metal scene. And what's interesting is there's like huge connections between the noise and the black gaze scene. Like all these bands I'm talking about pretty much all interact and play with each other and have like, I know most of these guys are friends with each other. So you kind of get this family thing.
Nice.
So this next band, I freaking love them. I will stand them till the day I die. They have a big mentor relationship with Boris, even though they're not similar, like musically, I think at all. But they are kind of like forging ahead on noise metal. And they're called Enden. I do have to say, they did have a little bit of a tragedy happen this past April.
Oh no!
The brother of the so there was brothers in the band. The vocalist and what they called the noisemaker. He made his own custom noise machines. And the Etsuo passed away at the end of April.
Oh.
And so from what I've heard from mutual friends, that they're going to keep Ending going, but obviously they need time to heal and figure out what does the band look like after that sort of.
Yeah, that's really rough.
And, and it's just, I hope they keep going. They are one of the best live bands I've ever. Okay, I need to back up for a second. I'm like, I made that statement multiple times.
Pump the brakes. Pull over.
So I don't know what it is about Japanese bands, but they put so much effort into their live performances that I don't think I can say I've seen a bad Japanese band live.
That's nice.
So like there is something that I think they take pride in their live performances more so than sometimes I feel like Western bands do.
Yeah, okay, so I can kind of see that. I feel like there are maybe like a handful of bands, like Western bands, that come to mind right off the top of my head. Like Iron Maiden, Sabaton is really big with their live shows, and I think there's like a few others. But like other than that, like the majority of metal bands here, especially here in the States, like it seems like they want to let the music speak for itself rather than
the performance
of it.
And I mean, like these are underground
bands on
bands
that too, right? Like the performance rather than just the music, right? Like you put it on a show.
But like the weird thing is like these are underground bands. They're not putting on costumes. They're not doing narratives, but the energy they bring to the show it's infectious, and like Endon, the vocalist goes absolutely nuts. Same thing with like Boningen. Like they put their whole heart into it, and you just have a blast. And so I don't know, like it's one of those things I'm waiting to have a bad experience in front of a Japanese band, and someday that will happen. But so yeah, I'll probably make. I need to just not make that statement because it's.
Now
I'm looking at the rest of the list, and I'm like, I can say that about the rest of the list. So, I'm just gonna move on from there.
All right.
But this is Your Ghost Is Dead off of their second album, Through the Mirror.
Nice. 1, 2, there we go. Oh, nasty! All right, so they've got like some other like synths and stuff going on the background. Yeah, that's good.
And the band has 2 noisemakers in it.
Interesting. Okay, that's kind of interesting. They're layering the vocals there too.
I kind of like watching Adam's face listening to this.
Adam's just like, what have I gotten myself into?
Guys. Yeah, there's a couple. I was waiting for the moment where I was going to be like, all right, we've crossed the Rubicon into the portion of the, because I was going pretty far. Like, I was like, I'm on board with all of this, right? And then
towards the end, I was like, scene did it.
I'm like, all right, now we're getting the eye twitch, like a little bit of eyebrow raise, where I'm like, all right, I was good up to a point.
And this is their I specifically chose this song because this is their most like normal metal song.
Oh my gosh, there's like, it goes off the rails more.
Like, I'm like, I'll go for this song because this will be like that nice little bridge. Like, my favorite song by them is Love Amnesia off of their newest album. And that one, it goes weird. Like,
interesting.
It's like their first album is, I think, kind of a good mixture of like noise and metal. Their second album definitely is more solidly metal, and then their third album is just like, let's just go ham. Like, it's so weird and different, and I love it. But I had a feeling if I played Love Amnesia, we might lose Adam. But they've got like obviously you can hear some black metal influence in there.
Yeah.
A lot of grindcore influences. Mm-hmm. Like grindcore like is a thing in Japan. I'm not like I used to say I'm not a grindcore fan, but I've kind of doing this podcast has made me take stock of what I listen to, and I listen to a lot of grindcore.
That's really funny. I think there's only 1, maybe 2 bands that are grindcore bands that I listen to, like regularly, I guess would say, but that's not even close to other bands that I listen to regularly. So the first one that comes to mind is the Berserker, which we all know that for high school. The other one, I don't know if it's technically considered grindcore, but I've heard them called grindcore before, and that's Carcass.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like they're kind of like father, background.
Gotcha. So I do have one question about this band here, and I guess like noise metal in general. So you said this band has noisemakers. What is that?
Okay, I think that's why they call them noisemaker. I wish there was a way to like visually show both of you and show the guys listening.
All right, Google time.
Okay. Oh, we can do this?
We can do this. Noisemaker? Is this what are we doing this?
Let's see.
I'm sorry for the podcast listeners because they're not going to get the visual.
Well, this will get edited out for like the actual thing.
Oh, okay.
This is fun for the audience here right now too, because we all get to learn together.
So I would actually just go to YouTube and look up Endon because like noisemakers is going to look different for every noise band because a lot of these machines are completely custom to that musician.
Gotcha.
So one of the noisemakers in Endon uses a traditional synthesizer and just is making noise that way. The other one is he made his own machine. Let me see if
Interesting. So we've got the same song here, just a live version of it. So I'm just gonna pull it up really quick. I'll throw in a link in the chat here for everyone so they can look along.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Guys, my YouTube algorithm is going to be fucked. Like, straight fucked.
All right, so I'm seeing here, it looks like a regular kind of keyboard synthesizer, but then there's something else on top of it.
Yeah, so he's created extra stuff on top of it, and it literally looks like an arts and crafts project. And then if you notice, it's not a guitar he's wearing, and I wonder if you'll be able to see it more.
Over here? Oh, yeah, what is that?
It's totally custom made. I mean, there's no name for it. It's just him making his own homemade machine.
It almost looks like a weird style of like radiator or something.
Like it's like a mix of a radiator and a banjo. Like
yeah.
And then the other noisemaker, the guy who does the synths, you can see him behind the guitarist.
Back here,
yeah. Oh, dude, I was at that show.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's really funny.
Oh my god,
this is familiar, and I'm like, oh, there's Strummer.
This isn't your video that you have.
No. No, they were playing with Boris that tour.
Gotcha. Okay, that's really interesting. Learning something new, a lot more than I expected to learn, but this is cool.
Yeah. So you like a lot of noise. Like I don't know if you guys know, they're technically industrial, but Author and Punisher.
Can't say that I do.
Oh, he does his own completely custom machines. Like they're machines. They're not even instruments. Like in the after show, I'll show you them because it's just it's nuts of what people will build to make noise. And of course, Merzbow built his own stuff too. So
gotcha.
On the more noise influenced, but definitely in the same bracket is a much lesser known band called Black Gannion. I love them. They're finally putting out more stuff now. They kind of were dormant for a while, but they definitely are very grindcore with a lot of noise into it. Their bassist plays a fretless bass.
That's cool.
It's just I dig them.
You just have to let the music speak for itself.
Yeah, I'm kind of I'm
yes.
little. I feel like this is more grindcore, so maybe we won't get the eye twitches from Adam.
You might just have a straight heart attack and fall over.
No, I have to say these guys are hard to find. They have one album on Spotify, but the rest of their discography is you have to go to the deep dark.
Somewhere. Yeah. All right, cool. So what's the song we're taking a listen to here?
So this is Withdrawal Syndrome.
Sweet. Here we go.
Little lead up to this one too.
I like that dissonance though.
Guys, I'm back in. I'm good.
All right. Woo. Adam almost fell off the side of the boat, but we were able to grab him and pull him back in.
Life preservers.
Life preservers. It sounds like a almost thrashy hardcore element to it in a way, but I guess it's hard for me personally to truly know what
is grindcore.
What is grindcore?
I agree. That's why I was I kind of realized maybe I do like grindcore. Although when what was it, back in December when you guys talked about Berserker, because I think we know the reasons why I might not have been totally on board with Berserker when we first learned about Berserker.
Yeah.
But listening to it now, I'm like, oh man, I really like this band.
Yeah, I have phases with them. I'll go years without listening to them, and all of a sudden I'll just have this weird itch, and I'm like, I need to listen to Berserker. So then I'll go through their first few albums, and I'm like, all right, I'm good.
I totally forgot about them until that podcast. I forgot they existed, and I'm like, oh, I remember. This is bringing back memories for me. And then I listened to it, and I'm like, oh my god, that sounds like a lot of what I listen to now.
So
what's
what's funny is at one point in my life, something ruined soccer for me, or football, right? So something just ruined it. I could not watch it ever. There was just nothing you could do to get me to watch football. And even the mention of it, I'm like, oh, whatever, just no, I can't, because the guilty by association type thing happened there. And then I finally got over that. It took me a long time, but I finally did. And I was like, all right, cool. An international sport that, every country participates in. That's pretty awesome. So I feel like it's funny how that translates over to like bands too, right? Like, just please, someone don't ruin my bands for me.
I think for me it was like there was that person in my life who was so elitist that like I think just the mention of that person liking a band almost made me hate it by association. And it wasn't because like I can name not only Berserker, I can name 2 other bands that like it wasn't until later that I was able to go like I actually like this band.
Yeah, sometimes like you almost like need a break from someone like mentioning a band and then you discovering it on your own to be like, oh, okay, this is
now
what
I
they
see
were
what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Like, but sometimes when someone's so passionate about something, you kind of like
it's weird.
Well, just like you I mean, I know I told you about Duran Gray.
I know.
But when you hear someone like really like kind of want to force feed you something, there's something that makes you go, I don't want to listen to that.
Yeah. That's kind of funny because I think Adam and I have like a few moments like this. I know over the podcast, like where I've tried to show you something and you're just like, and then you've tried to show me something and I'm just like, but then like I'll try it on my own. I'm like, hey, you were right.
Guys, I've done a lot of reading about these things. I've done a lot of hard negotiation in the past like 2 months, especially being shelter in place and having to go through, virtual meetings with people. Because there's a lot of, tactics that you have to employ. So leading with empathy is always a big thing, right? And there's a time and a place for everything. So reading the room is very much a thing that you need to do. This is life lessons, the dad middle version. Leading with empathy is a big one. And then asking for permission. Like, hey, is it okay if we talk about this now, or would you like to talk about it another time? Like, just the permission, right? Is it okay if we hash this out somewhere else or in a different room? Or is it okay if we discuss this thing? It's very much a customer service /dad/ COVID shelter in place tactic that I've been using. So
that's really funny.
So what you're saying is, it's like when you want to show someone a new band, like ask, hey, I want to show you this band. Can I do so? Is this an appropriate moment? So are you in the right headspace for this?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it goes more in depth than that, right? Because you're just asking a yes or no question. You have to ask open-ended questions to get them to engage in the conversation, right? So it's like, oh yeah, I've been listening to this really good bands, lately. Like, what have you been listening to? Oh, that's really cool. Have you heard of something like this? And then after you ask the open-ended question to, open the door, then you start narrowing it down with the closed questions, right? The yes or no's. And then when you finally get down your flow chart, 18 levels deep to the thing that you want to talk about, then then it's the right moment. And then you're like, oh, hey, is it cool if I show you this band? And they say yes. And you're like, I'm in. I've done it. I've made it. We're good. And with Steve, perfect. I mean, we have never gotten the lead with empathy thing. It's just always been like, hey man, it's time to record.
It's always been me like, dude,
band.
You need to listen to this band. So I'm playing the elitist, I guess.
I mean, like, it's passion. I've learned it's passion. I've also learned, like, think about it. Like, I missed out on so much good music because you get turned off by other people's passion, and that's kind of ridiculous when you boil it down to that. Like,
yeah, it's like a hard thing for people to get over, but one way or another, I think we all do.
Oh yeah. I hope I've gotten over it, but
all right, so
minus that one song mentioned at the beginning, which I still hate.
So we got some other notable bands you want to point out?
Yeah. So I mean, like, this is just a drop in the bucket, by the way. So if you really want to dig deep into Japanese metal, I highly recommend my friends over at Kala. So Kala started as a blog for Japanese metal, but they are now just this really cool group of guys that support the music, particularly in coronavirus times. Mm-hmm. They put on live shows that you can join, and then online, obviously.
Right, yeah.
And then also just kind of help support the live houses and bands that keep the scene going. So check them out. They're great dudes. They deserve attention. And they are, one day when we get, tours again, they actually help Japanese bands come to the U.S. and tour.
Nice. Cool.
So, but some other notables, this next band I love, they're from the late 90s, and then they disappeared for like 15 years.
Wow.
And they showed back up about 3 years ago, with as much like ferocity and energy, and they're kind of a little bit of a godfather in the hardcore scene back there. But they're called Green Machine, and this is their song "Damn." So this is off of their last album before they went dormant.
Gotcha. All right.
Hey, Filter, loving that bass.
So, move. I dig it.
It'll get on this one. I forgot how long it is.
We're still grooving, guys. It's good.
Yeah. I feel like this might kind of bleed over into like another genre that I'm not too familiar with, but I feel like this is what of some of the bands that I have heard in this other genre, it sounds like. Is it like anything related to like stoner metal or stoner
a little
doom?
Stoner, a little sludgy.
Yeah, sludgy. Yeah.
What the fuck is sludge metal?
I can do a whole podcast on sludge metal too, you guys.
Maybe we'll have to bring you back for that.
But yeah, they definitely have a lot of sludge influences,
Okay.
and they just I like it. They got a groove to them.
Mhm.
They've got a little bit of a punk feel.
Yeah.
But they're and I love that the fact that they can come back 15 years later and just kill it.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's like really hard for a band to do. Like usually when there's like a huge break, like and they come back, it's very much a hit or miss, and more often than not, it's a miss.
The only thing is if you're gonna if you're gonna search them in Spotify, like you can get you have to search Green Machine as one, like all one, and that will get you I think their old stuff, and then you have to separate it to get their new stuff.
Oh, that's interesting.
So they're a little hard. I think there's like label shenanigans going on with that.
Usually what happens.
So just FYI if you try to
Gotcha.
find them. So this last one I put specifically for you, Steve. I'm not a huge power metal person. Like
That's power metal.
Oh, oh no.
But this is one band that, like, I don't know. Every once in a while, I'll be like, I need some Galneris in my life. They're like that happy, like, uplifting kind of power, and they're power metal. And a lot of times, like, the Japanese power metal is kind of in the vein of like X Japan, which you checked out a while back.
Mm-hmm.
And like that had a whole branch, but like Galneris actually tries to do it more in like the European power metal style.
Nice.
And they sing in both Japanese and in English. And they love their their long form ballads, which is what this one is. So this is Destiny, off of Galneris.
Nice.
And I didn't put a timestamp here. It's a long song. I don't know where to go with this one.
Yeah, let's see. How long is this song? Ooh. Oh, okay. We're still under 10 minutes, but
yeah,
that's a decent amount for power metal.
Because there's a
Guys,
really
I've
good.
been so numbed to long songs now. When you said long, I'm thinking immediate double digits. I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna be a half-hour song, isn't it? Oh, it's only 8 minutes. It's fine. I'm like, oh.
So I don't know, somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle. All right.
Not that early. Not that early.
So like here.
Yeah, let's try here.
All right. So we're gonna start at around. We'll go 3.5 minutes. We'll keep it even. There we go. 3.5 minutes. Let's take a listen here.
That bass. That bass though.
This is some 90s video game music right here.
Is that flange on there that I'm hearing, or is that Sky Filter again?
I don't know. Let me turn it up for us a little bit here.
It is Sky Filter.
Yeah, I dig it. It's almost like Dream Theater in a way, too. my goodness.
He's freaking out, man. He's freaking out.
Fretboard's on fire. Oh my gosh. Bass in there too? It almost sounds like a bass is tapping along to it.
I think so.
How long is this on? We're at 5 minutes already?
And I'm trying to get to like a vocal.
Yeah. I
Jeez.
like that. Yeah, I dig this a lot. Oh my gosh.
I knew you'd like this. Like I had to add this, even though
Oh
it's
man.
like
that
this is
so
not
good.
my expertise. But I'm like, so I actually, I found out about this band because they did the opening and ending to one of my favorite anime.
That sounds like it would be on an anime.
And
I was
so-
gonna ask if it was.
Well, I don't know about this song, but like the song that got me into these guys. And so I love them. They kind of, every once in a while, I just need a little Galneris in my life. And this is someone from who's like listened to maybe like 3 power metal bands.
Okay, so what are those 3 power metal bands?
Sonata Arctica. And I am blanking on the one. I'm having a total brain fart.
Do you know what country they're from?
I want to say Britain, and there's like an Asian bassist.
Dragon Force?
Yes, that one.
they're a guitarist, Herman Lee.
Is it a guitarist? I thought
Yeah.
it was a bassist.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are that one and Galneris.
Nice. Very cool.
Yep.
All right, so that rounds out our main topic for tonight for Japanese metal. In some wrap up, it looks like Adam is eagerly waiting to discuss something.
Can we talk about anime? Can we really talk about anime? Is that a thing we can talk about?
It seems like you want to. I guess the hard thing is like, it's funny. I used to be really big into anime before I was in Japanese metal, and now that I'm older, I'm like less into anime. But I can maybe we can see.
So I'm at a crisis because the anime, I watched a bunch of like Shonen Jump type series and stuff like that, and then I watched like the typical Death Note type popular anime that's out there. Always subbed, guys, no dubs. Get out of here with that, right? But I'm at a crisis because the last anime that I watched, I invested time watching in, which was Neon Genesis Evangelion, and oh my god, man, like I thought we were going to see robots fighting. I thought we were going to see some mechs and stuff like that. And I spent so much time in this 14-year-old boy's head that I was going crazy. So I need something to cleanse my palate after that.
I am not the person to recommend. Like I go so much darker in my anime than Evangelion.
Use that.
Like I watch the DSBN of anime. Like that's what I go
for.
Wow.
I know.
Well,
Yeah, so I guess Adam and I are more of like the power metal anime, and Diana's the DSBN anime.
So like.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I got excited because the last part of as we were going into Steve's Power Metal song, I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe I'll actually get some some like anime theme song type music again, because like I enjoyed that, like any of the power metal like Japanese bands. Like I'm kind of into those theme songs and stuff. I get on that train, but yeah, I need another show to watch.
Looks like we
I have
got some people
suggestions
talking about
in
some
chat.
here. Yeah.
So, I need to rewatch Cowboy Bebop. I've been meaning to do that. That's a really
I haven't
good-
seen that one.
Oh, that one's got a
trying to think
killer intro track.
Yeah.
Like, do I have any like non-depressing 5e?
Oh,
Why is everything I like so depressing?
I mean, so the last anime I watched was Dodo Hedoro.
Okay.
It's on Netflix, so I like usually anything Netflix puts out, it's pretty solid, to be
Okay.
honest. It's very like cyberpunk in style. It's avant-garde and weird, and but it's not depressing. It's really gory. So if you're not into gore, I wouldn't.
I'm not into gore.
I mean, it's cartoon gore, right? Like, I'm good with cartoon.
Yeah.
We're fine.
It gets
no, the
detailed.
gore is real. They CGI that gore in for real.
It's detailed, but that it's a fun one though. Like, it's weird and bizarre, but it has a good storyline. It's unique. It's got a lot of good humor in it. But I wouldn't say it's depressing. I don't think there's depressing parts to it.
Okay, that's good.
But it doesn't really have an ending. I think it's supposed to have a season 2, which who knows
Gotcha.
if that ever happens.
So the last anime I started watching was Attack on Titan, and I haven't finished it yet. But I'm going to get back into it here real soon, probably in the next couple of weeks, and get through it. And then Adam and I can talk about it a little bit more, because I think you finished it, right?
Yeah, I'm all caught up on Attack on Titan.
Okay, cool.
There's a whole bunch of other recommendations in chat. Looks like.
Oh yeah, let's see what we got here.
Mentioned like Fooly Cooly,
Alchemist.
Cowboy Bebop. Yeah, yep. Pop Culture Happy Hour is.
I love Paranoia. I would say I love Paranoia Agent.
Nice.
Khan is one of my favorite directors. May he rest in peace. I don't know. I feel like I don't know what to feel of Paranoia Agent. Like, it used to be on Adult Swim way back when we were kids.
Oh, okay.
So
a good Adult Swim? Yeah.
Yeah, the good Adult Swim. But let's see, what else have I watched? Like, going back through my brain, I'm like, have I watched anything happy?
Gotcha.
So many to choose from.
I like Devilman Crybaby, but
Devil May Cry Baby?
No, Devilman Crybaby.
Oh, I heard Devil May Cry Baby. I was like, what?
Steve's ears perked up. Like, wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
They did do a Devil May Cry anime, like a short series. They did do one.
Really?
The hard thing is that one, it had, like, it's a very nihilistic ending. So people kind of get turned off. You know, they're like, that's depressing. But, like, the story is good. Like, you're getting there and it gets good.
Yeah.
There was one I watched. I had it's anime, so it always has kids in it. I can't remember, but
anything else about the story that you remember?
Okay, so it's about like these orphans at an orphanage, and I can't say too much because like it gives away the plot.
Okay.
Berserk is not a happy anime. I can't remember. I'll look it up.
All right. Yeah, we'll find out what it is, and then
because if I explain more, it's going to give away major plot points.
Gotcha. So. Okay, no worries. We'll figure out what it is, and we'll do that for follow up next week on what that anime is.
One Punch Man. Yeah, there you go. The volleyball one, guys. What's with the volleyball?
Is that I think it's like Haikyuu.
Haikyuu. Yeah, I think that's it. But I've really never seen. Yeah, but I was a roommate with this guy. Here we go. When I first moved out.
Do we want to move to the after show really quick?
Yeah, probably, because I don't think everyone's gonna want to hear my tale of whatever.
All right, after show. Woohoo!